All right. What's up, guys? Welcome in. Can you guys hear me okay? Someone want to give me a thumbs up if you can hear me? Feel free to give a thumbs up in the chat if you can hear me, just so I can know I'm not talking to no one here. Yeah, all right. Welcome in, guys. So pretty cool using software where this is streaming live to Instagram as well as to YouTube. So um, whether you're watching from Instagram or YouTube, welcome in. Uh, Today is Thursday, November 21st. Can't believe it's already almost Thanksgiving, which is pretty wild. Um, Welcome in, guys. Whether you are a member at UET or you are just a follower on one of our social media pages, today I wanted to hop in and do a free webinar essentially to be able to go over what I believe are some of the most important aspects of trading discipline. And I want to stack up kind of what the ideal trading morning looks like, maybe as opposed to what you do on a day-to-day morning. So first off, if you are not following us on social media, again, Uncommon Education Trading on Instagram or Jeremy Lieber on YouTube. But thanks for being here today. I know it's early. If you're West Coast, it's super early. If it's East Coast, not too bad. But we're going to go over some actual practical ways that hopefully you can help implement into your day-to-day trading. So first and foremost, if you have questions, feel free to throw them here into the chat. You can comment in the chat. If you have questions that aren't addressed right away, we will have a small Q&A right at the end of this. We're 3 minutes into this live, so let's go ahead and get started. Um, I'm going to go through what the ideal morning as far as trading setups go once the market opens, how I manage essentially the trading day. And I want you guys to compare it to what you are doing on a day-to-day basis. Now, if this is something you've never done before and you're just kind of hopping in for the first time, this will show you a very practical, realistic way that trading works. And if you are trading, whether in our group or out of our group, this is going to be very enlightening for you, I believe, showing what it actually takes to be successful as a day trader and what we're actually looking for when it comes to our trading setups. So first and foremost, discipline and the ability to stay consistent really is everything, right? When it comes to trading. And I'm going to walk you through again on a day-to-day basis what we are looking for and how easy, yes, you heard me right, how easy trading should be when you become disciplined and when you are implementing a set of strategies, whether here at UET or somewhere else. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get after it. So, when we're talking about a trading discipline and how to actually find consistent success, everyone who has traded before has had a winning trade, right? Winning trades and making money in the market, that's not what's hard. What's hard is the ability to keep that money or to do that and replicate that consistently. So I'm going to walk through, and again, feel free to take notes if you're listening to this. Feel free to, have questions that if you want to ask towards the end. But here's the bottom line of what your morning should look like when you are a successful trader. And I'm talking not the pre-market routine. I'm talking about actually trading the market. So first is what I do, right, is I trade what we call at Uncommon Education the first candle strategy, right? So this means a strategy that we are trading within the first 5 minutes. And what's great about this strategy is regardless of why you want to enter or your reason for entry, whether you are shorting, entering puts, wanting to make money as price goes down, or enter calls, wanting to make money as price goes up, here's how I map it out. So I have 4 stocks that I look at each morning for the first candle strategy. Okay. Those 4 stocks are Amazon, Nvidia, Tesla, typically Apple, sometimes something else like Meta, Amazon, Coinbase, things that are moving a lot. But for today's example, let's just say let's say Apple, Nvidia, AMD, Tesla. Okay. So pre-market, let's say 15 minutes before the market opens. So let's call that 7:15 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. I am looking at those 4 stocks and trying to find the best pre-market setup for the first candle strategy. Okay. Now, what's cool about the first candle strategy is we are entering the trade within the first 5 minutes of the market being open. We just had an incredible boot camp regarding this strategy. We teach this in our mastermind program. I believe it's the GOAT of day trading strategies. It's absolutely incredible. But when I decide which of those 4 stocks I like best for the first candle strategy, once the market opens, again, within that first 5 minutes, I'm entering. Now, once I enter, here is how it works. And it's the same every single day as, again, a professional day trader who's been trading now for 8.5 years. When I enter that trade, one of 2 things is going to happen. And those who know this strategy know that this is the case. Okay. Number one, it's either going to go up in value, right? The contract that we buy by 15%, and I'm going to exit for a take profit, or it's going to decrease and go against me 7%, and I'm going to exit for a loss. Okay. So it's the same routine every morning. I map out the 4 plays, and once I enter the trade, and again, the reason for entry, the entry criteria, that is what we teach at UET, right, with the strategy. But regardless of why I entered, as soon as I enter, I can kind of relax, because really it's one of 2 things is going to happen, right? It's either going to go up to 15% and I'm going to exit for a win, or it's going to go down or against me 7% and I'm going to exit for a loss. So let's just do some math here. If I have a 50% win rate, right, doing this every morning. So every morning I find the same 4 stocks, I find what I believe is the best setup, and I enter based on whatever criteria I want. If I'm right 50% of the time, I'm going to make 15%, I'm going to lose 7%. I'm going to make 15%, I'm going to lose 7%. So that means I'm going to net average a 4% win every trade that I take, or 8% every 2 trades. Okay. So once that 5-minute trade is over, okay, and again, this is every morning, I'm not adjusting where I'm taking profit, where I'm exiting. I'm entering, and it's either hitting my take profit or it's hitting my stop loss. What's so great is if I truly follow that and I don't exit until it hits my take profit, or I don't exit until it hits my stop loss, if it is not a winning trade, it's really easy to go back and identify what went wrong, because it wasn't anything execution wise that I did that made it, either hit its stop loss or take profit. It's I mistimed my entry, or maybe I misread what was going on pre-market. And that is the easiest way to be able to create consistency, right? And yes, I do hold on until 15%, right? Because again, to keep that 2-to-1 reward to risk ratio, it's incredibly important. The other crazy thing about the first candle strategy is 15% is not that big of a move, right? On the first candle. So as soon as that is done, okay, so as soon as I either exit for a win or a loss, now I immediately switch into saying, cool, 735 at this point, right? Unless I, held on and implemented a trailing take profit, which, maybe I held on till 745 or whatever. But then I know, again, I trade for the first hour each morning. I know that I now have until 8:30, really, so the next 35 to 45 minutes to find one good setup based on the strategies that we teach. Okay. So what we do here at Uncommon Education is I send out my potential plays, which is 2 to sometimes 4 setups that I am looking at and watching for our strategies that we teach here at Uncommon Education. Okay. So I have that trade. I either take profit or stop loss, right? And again, regardless of if that first trade was a win or a loss, I'm now thinking, cool, I have the next 45, 50, or 60 minutes to find one more profitable setup. Now, this setup will typically comprise of a few different strategies, right? Here at Uncommon Education, the big 3, other than the first candle, is our RBR setup, our BRC setup, and the bounce reject setup. Okay. Personally, I tend to like the RBR or bounce reject more, right, than the BRC. So let's just say I'm looking for the RBR or the bounce reject. When I have, let's say, 3 potential plays, okay, let's say it's on Disney, let's say it's on Amazon, and let's say it's on PayPal, okay? And again, these change every day, and we talk about how to identify good setups within our programs that we teach here at UET. All I am doing now, and here's what's so crazy, right? I take that first trade, regardless of if it's a win or a loss. I then try to find the best A plus setup I can based on the strategies that we teach. So let's say that means I'm looking for an RBR or a bounce reject. If you don't know what those are, maybe you're playing, an orb strategy. If you're not within Uncommon Community, maybe you're playing an opening range breakout. Maybe you're, I don't know what strategy you're playing, but all I am waiting for is, as an example, let's say on, I don't know, let me pull up the numbers on Disney here. Let's say on Disney, as an example, okay, let's say I am watching for a key level, which is, let's say, $113, and I'm looking at another key level that's $115. Okay. Here's what's so crazy. I will sit, because again, I have a whole hour, right, that I'm dedicating to trading till 8:30 in the morning. I have a whole hour to wait for price to either drop to the 113 level, right, or to rise to the 115 level, as an example, right? And again, I map these plays out pre-market. I identify these key levels, and I have that on 2 or 3 stocks. So again, during that first hour, I am sitting and waiting for price interaction with one of my key levels. As a perfect example, Tesla. Okay, Tesla yesterday, one of the key levels was the 341.11 key level. Okay, and it just so happened that price interacted with this level at 7:45, which is the third candle of the market being open. Now, this might change day to day, right? Meaning it might take 50 minutes for price to interact with one of the key levels from the potential plays. It might only take 10 minutes. It might take 20 minutes. But the point being is I am sitting, hanging out, waiting for price to interact with one of the key levels that I have identified pre-market as important key levels. And once price begins to interact with those levels, again, for me, I'm typically looking for some type of RBR type setup or some type of bounce reject setup. Okay. And then what's so crazy, I know it's wild, I wait for the entry criteria to be met, right, to enter that trade. So again, as a little snippet, if you go back and look at Tesla yesterday, when it dropped to that 341.11 level, it starts kind of consolidating right around that level, right? Price is kind of not bouncing, not dropping. We look at a few pieces of information volume wise. It's not giving us anything that would indicate a bounce reject. So then I start seeing, and it starts to form what's called an RBR setup, which is, again, a strategy that we teach here at UET. So sure enough, I identify the RBR. The entry criteria gets met at candle, what would that be? 7:55. So again, only 25 minutes in the market open. And I take puts on that setup on a Tesla RBR for a nice winning trade to the downside. Okay. So once I have that second trade, which is met, there's a few things I try to do, and you have to do if you are looking for a said now that 7% stop loss, that's not for any of these strategies. That's for the first candle strategy, right? These is a completely different criteria for these three setups that we're looking for. But again, I follow the rules. So meaning if I enter on an RBR, let's say it's on, the rejection of the 9 EMA, well, I'm going to hold until it either hits my stop loss, which, if you know the strategy, is a close above, or, at least, half of what our reward would be on the trade, right? Or I'm waiting until it hits my take profit, which is at least 2 times what my risk is on the trade. Okay. So on these setups, right? First candle strategy, whether it's a bounce reject, BRC, RBR, I'm going to take profit as soon as I am at least 2 times what my stop loss is. Okay. On the first candle, the 7% is a 2-to-1 reward to risk for whoever's asking that, right? We take profit at 15%. And so we want our stop loss to be half that, right? Yeah, there's 8 years of practice and 8 years of implementing that strategy, right? A lot of people do 20%, 10%. It doesn't matter what you do. You just want to have that proper reward to risk ratio, right? It depends on the day, depends on whether it's a Friday mover. On Fridays, I have 15% stop loss and a 30% take profit, right? Because the 0 DTE contracts move much quicker. But point being, right, is that I have simplified my trading process to equate to this, right? First candle strategy, I simply enter, and as soon as I enter, one of two things is going to happen. It's going to hit my 15% take profit, or it's going to hit my 7% stop loss. Okay, check. Now that has moved. That trade is over. Now, all I'm waiting for over the next hour is for price to interact with one of the many levels or setups that I have with all the potential plays I have. And I'm waiting for that entry criteria, and I'm going to follow that trade as best I can, right? So if it's a BRC, I'm going to enter, and I am wanting to take profit when I'm at least 2 times whatever my risk was on that trade. I'm entering the bounce reject, right? I'm taking profit at the level that we know that we take profit on with the bounce reject. If I'm trading the RBR, right, I am entering and I'm going to take profit when I am at least 2 times what my risk was on the trade, or it's going to hit my risk and I'm going to get out. So let's say, again, for math, for everyone who's been following me here, let's say on that second trade I take, the average is a 25% win on my winning trades and a 12% loss on the losing trades, meaning that some BRCs are going to be bigger, some bounce rejects are going to be smaller. But for number's sake, let's say 25% and 12%. Okay. So again, all I need to have happen is on that second trade to have a 50% win rate. Now, I want to stop and talk about this for a second because I say 50% win rate and you're like, okay, I get it. But I'm serious. Like, how many of you are okay losing a trade every single day, right? Most people, they don't handle that very well mentally, right? Like, they struggle. They think that they're losing. They think that they suck. They think that they're not doing very good. And I'm sitting here telling you that as a professional day trader, that is all I'm concerned about, is having a 50% win rate over the week. So let's do some math again, right? With this setup, if on the losing trade of the first candle at 7%, and let's say the losing trade of the second trade is 13%. Here's where trading becomes incredibly easy, right? And this is what I mean. So Monday, maybe I have a winning trade on the first candle, 15%, and I have a losing trade on the second trade, which is, what do we say, 13%? 13%. Okay, so it's basically a break-even day, maybe a slight win, right? Second day, maybe I have winning trades on both, okay? Third day, maybe I have losing trades on both. Fourth day, maybe I have a losing trade on the first candle and a winning trade on a BRC. Then the fifth day, same thing, winning trade, losing trade. Well, by doing that, true 50% win rate over the week, I'm going to be profitable, right? I'm going to be consistently making money. And this is what's so funny is when you get to this point where you just know that you are taking these 2 trades and you just need a 50% win rate on the 2 setups, right, throughout the week, trading becomes so easy because when you enter, you're not stressing anymore, right? How many of you are in a trade and you're just stressing and you're like, man, I don't know if I read that right. It doesn't matter. As soon as you enter a trade, it's going to do one of 2 things. It's going to hit your stop loss or it's going to hit your take profit. Now, let's say, right, you go throughout the week and you have a 30% win rate on that second trade. Well, as long as you always had a good reward to risk ratio, and as long as you tried your best to find the correct setups, right, according to math and according to what we're talking about, you will be around break even, right? Maybe a slight loss on the account, but you should be around break even on the week, right? By doing that and having a 30 to 40% win rate. But the important factor is you can go back and look at each of those trades. And the reason for your losses isn't because you were messing with the take profits and stop losses. It isn't because you were entering when price wasn't interacting with your key levels, right? You had a losing trade because you didn't identify the setup properly. And then that's really easy because then you go back and be like, okay, why didn't this bounce reject bounce? Or why didn't this RBR continue and give us the additional rally, right? And then you go back and you can fix that and you can monitor and be like, oh, cool. Yeah, I didn't see this piece of volume. I didn't take into account what was happening on the MACD. I didn't take into account, right, this candlestick formation. And then it's really easy to kind of fish in a barrel your mistakes and then move on to the next day, right? But what happens is, let's say you enter first candle and you start changing things, you're averaging down, you don't take profit when you're supposed to, you hold on past your losing trade. Second trade, maybe you enter when you see a big candle and you're like, "Ooh, I think this is going to continue going." You're not going on any entry criteria or any type of like system. Well, now there's a million things and a million reasons why you could be losing, right? Could be that you're taking profit too early, maybe that you're holding on to losers too long. It could be that you're not entering based on any type of entry criteria. And all that does is now your consistency is thrown off. Okay. So now taking it a step further, that again, I want you to compare to how you trade the market, is I am consistent in my position size. Okay. So that means that on Monday, if I'm saying, cool, this week, again, just throwing out irrelevant numbers here, but let's say this week, my position size is I want to enter with $5,000 per trade this week. Well, am I following that throughout the whole week? Meaning every first candle I take that week, it needs to be $5,000 per trade. Every single bounce reject or RBR or whatever that second trade is, it needs to be $5,000 per trade. Because again, if on Monday I do $5,000 per trade and I have 2 winning trades, and then on Tuesday, let's say I bump it up to $10,000 per trade, and I have 2 losing trades, well, I'm no longer at break even with that 50% or still, profitable because of the reward to risk. I am now probably losing money because again, I have messed with some of those variables, meaning I had losing trades on the days where I was implementing more money, and I had winning trades on the days I was implementing less money. And so that's another huge piece that people will do, right? They start changing with the amount of money they use during the week, and that will throw off your ability to be consistent, right? Now, here's what's so crazy. That number and that ability to be profitable is with a 50% win rate, right? There's a lot of people on this chat right now who are members at UET who have a much higher win rate than 50%, right? I had a month back in March where we kind of audited and had a third party app, track my trades, and I had a 92% win rate, right? It's like when you get good at this, you will have higher than a 50% win rate. But what I'm sharing with you guys is that these things we're talking about, this is with a 50% win rate, right? So again, how simple it is, and again, I'm just going to lay it out incredibly quick here. I wake up, I find 4 setups for the first candle, and as soon as the market opens, for whatever reason, I enter, and it's going to do one of 2 things. I'm taking profit at 15%, I'm exiting for 7%. That's it. Like, simplify the heck out of it, guys. Just simplify what you're doing, right? It really needs to be that simple, right? Boom. Okay, 15%, 7%. Awesome. Then all I wait for on that second trade is I am waiting for one of my potential plays, key levels or wedge or channels or zones to have price interact with. Once price interacts with that key level, it's like, cool, now I know I'm looking for something, whether that's the BRC, the bounce reject, or the RBR. Once I see and identify one of those entry criteria to be met, which again just comes down from learning the strategies, practicing, having them become second nature to you, I enter that trade, right? And I follow the rules of that trade. So if it's a bounce reject, I'm either exiting for a loss when it is half of what my reward is, right? Or I'm taking profit when it hits. And for those who know the bounce strategy, our indicator to know to get out of the trade, right? It's as simple as that. I'm not messing with anything. I'm not trying to adjust and change things. I do that, right? It's really quite simple. And so when I do that, again, as long as I can have a 50% win rate with that type of strategy mentality within the first hour of the day, I will be profitable. So my question to you guys is, how many of you trade that way? With that level of consistency, with that level of discipline, with that level of understanding that it's just a numbers game and it doesn't matter if you win or lose. It doesn't. You just need a 50% win rate. That means that every time you hit buy, right, there's a 50% chance you're going to lose. And how many of you are okay with that? How many of you are approaching with that level of detachment where it's like, yep, today might be the day that I have 2 losing trades. Today might be the day I have 2 winning trades. Most likely it's going to be one of the days where I have a winning trade and a losing trade. But all I'm trying to do here is have a 50% win rate, right? Does that make sense? Does it kind of illuminate to some of you who maybe have been trading for a while how maybe undisciplined you have been or how inconsistent you have been and why that may be the case? And then again, at the end of every session, what I do is I go back and I review both trades. It takes less than 5 minutes. I look at the first candle. I'm like, oh yeah, there's why it didn't work. hit our resistance level and I failed to, recognize that. Or, yep, that's why that second trade did work out great. The reward to risk was awesome. We were extended, got confirmation, right? And I will track it and I will be able to identify, cool, here's the tendencies on that second trade. I keep cutting profits a little early, or on that, first trade, I am, being too impatient with the take profit, or whatever the case is. And it becomes really easy to identify what is going wrong and where I need to change and implement things. Okay. So a few quick questions. Do you decide on one ticker before open, or do you have contracts loaded? Yeah, so I'll decide the ticker before open. I'll usually load up contracts like 5 minutes before the market opens. Is your first scale strategy off 15 or 5 minute? But again, that's trading. That's how simple you need to make it, right? And again, when you do this and cool, here's my stop loss, here's my take profit, and you don't care if it's a win or a loss because all you're trying to do is have a 50% win rate, trading becomes so stress-free, right? Because as soon as you enter, for whatever reason, maybe your entry criteria was wrong, but as soon as you enter, there's only one of two things that's going to happen. You're either hitting your take profit or you're hitting your stop loss. That's it. So you can sit back, relax, hang out, right? It's very, very, very simple in that regard. Okay. So again, why do day traders fail? Why do so many people struggle? Well, what I'm talking about here requires a few things. Number one, it requires incredible discipline, right? As an example, yesterday, the stock market just absolutely nosedived right off the market open, right? And if you were watching, let's say, SPY, well, for the first, two candles, none of our strategies were being met, right? And so you're just watching it tank. You're like, oh my gosh, if I just entered a put right now, I'd be making money. No, you have your first candle, right? Is what we teach. And so I play that. And then after that, I wait. And sure enough, at candle 3 on SPY, it started interacting with our key level that we had mapped out. One of our strategies presented itself, the RBR, and we entered, and boom, you have your second trade of the day, which ended up being a winner, right? So again, 50% win rate, that's all we want. Samantha, we use Thinkorswim, which is by Charles Schwab. It's the GOAT of day trading platforms. In my opinion, I'm really excited to check out the new Robinhood one. We'll see how that one is, but we use Thinkorswim by Charles Schwab, or Interactive Brokers if you're outside the US. Okay, so now I want to open it up for some questions, right? So I want you guys to think, if you guys are day traders, are you that methodical in your approach, right? Do you have it segmented out into each strategy when you're playing that strategy, the pre-market plan, right? And then tracking those trades? Are you that disciplined, or are you hopping on and you're trying to like Rain Man decipher the market, right? Where you're just like, okay, like based on this, that I'm going to do this, or, ooh, this kind of looks like this is forming. I know it's nothing to do with my pre-market plan, but I'm going to enter and just hope it works out, right? You cannot succeed with that. Are your take profit stop loss percents the same on your second trade? No, it's completely different, right? The first candle strategy, that's the way that the take profit stop loss is set up. On the other strategies, completely different criteria. Which charting app do you use? I just use the Thinkorswim charting app. It's very, very good, sufficient for what we do here at UET. Negatives with using Webull, there's no active trader. You can't get in and out of the trade without having some form of confirmation. And as people like us at UET who are scalpers and day traders, you want to be able to get in the second you hit buy. Webull doesn't allow that. What time of the 5-minute count do you enter and exit? It depends. It depends on the strategy, right? It might be within the first 3 seconds. It might be at minute 3, just once it's hit. Advice for holding winners until take profit. Why is that so hard sometimes? It's really quite simple. You need to remove money from your screen, right? If you're not holding till take profit, there's 2 things that's happening. Number 1 is you are trading with too much money, right? Meaning you're trading with too much of a position size where you're thinking, I'm up 8%. I'm not even close to my take profit, but I have $1,000 in this trade. Like that's a lot of money already, right? And so you start doing weird stuff. Or you are watching the screen and you're seeing you're up $80, you're up 150, you're up 200, and so you start doing weird things there. So if you want to get better at hitting and waiting until it hits your take profit, position size lower, trade with less money, and don't have any of the money on your screen, right? Don't look at how much you're up or down on the trade. It'll shoot yourself in the foot 10 out of 10 times, and you'll always make less money doing that. But good question. What other questions do you guys have? For those who are members here at UET or just traders in general, does this make sense? How simple trading should be and how you should be approaching every day in the market? Someone give me some level of understanding that you're getting what I'm saying here, because to me it is really important, that level of discipline every day, right? You follow that first candle and then you wait for the next criteria to be met. And you have an hour for that to be met with your potential plays pre-market. Do you exit for a loss after the candle closes past your stop loss or wicks below? Depends on the strategy, right? Depends on the strategy. If it's first candle, it's just when you hit that percent stop loss. If it's let's say a BRC, if it is wicking past your stop loss, has it hit your ultimate, which is again half of your take profit? If not yet, we want to wait for a close. Have a plan, stick to it. Yes. Automatic sell set, or do you just watch the percent? Exit manually. I exit manually, right? The sell limit, it's not reliable, especially when you start trading with lots of contracts. Sometimes it'll skip it. Sometimes it'll only exit part of the position. So it's always sell market for me. Swear it feels like you watch my life. It always exactly what I'm struggling with. You know why? It's because it's what everyone struggles with. It's the same song and dance, right? I've been doing this for 8.5 years. There's a reason why it feels like I'm like looking into your day trading life. It's because I've been there. And again, this is how simple you have to do that. Okay. I have the P&L up because I'm learning. Are you saying I should not have it up? No, you shouldn't have it up. If you have the P&L percent up, that's great. You want to know how much percent, but don't have the dollar amount up. What do you personally do when you identify that you're on a losing streak? I just find out why I'm losing, right? Like if you don't know why you're losing, that's the biggest problem, right? And at UET, it's pretty cool, guys. We have a live trading help channel where you can submit your trade in real time, take a screenshot, and myself and other analysts here at UET will review the trade in real time. You can do that anytime, 24/7. You can send in your trade to be reviewed. So that's number one. If you're on a losing streak, let's figure out why, right? And people are so embarrassed. I don't understand. People are so embarrassed to send their trades into the live trading help channel for like losing trades. Who cares? I'm sitting here telling you that a 50% win rate will get the job done. Like you're gonna have a lot of losing trades. Don't be scared to send in your trades. I've never understood that. Like get rid of your ego, right? Whoever, right? Just get rid of your ego. What percentage of total account do you enter into a trade at one time? So Matt, we talk about this a lot at UET, right? Our rule of thumb is 10% of your account on any one trade, and of that 10%, you're only risking 10 to max 20% of that 10%. Okay. How do you choose which stock you're comfortable trading with in the morning? Sorry for the noob question. All these things, guys, to be honest, we go through in our course content, which is really cool. For me, it comes down to a few things: trend and volume. That's what I'm looking for, trend and volume. How well does this work on small cap versus large cap? It works great. We trade both. I personally like large cap just because it's more consistent movement, but they work on both. How do you figure out your profits without watching the money? Percent. You have your percent P&L, right? And again, at UET, we show you how you can have your percent P&L up so you know exactly how much you're up or down on the trade. You just don't want the dollar amount. The dollar amount messes with people's brain. No one has a healthy relationship with money. Do you have any videos on setting up Thinkorswim and how to enter and exit trades? Yeah, Caden, what's cool is we actually walk you through as part of our programs A to Z, like exactly how to set it up. We send you a PDF with the exact instructions, what normally would take people a long time to figure it out, hours, days, you can knock out in 5 minutes. Very, very cool. What do you personally see when you're on a losing streak? It's been a while since I've been on a losing streak, not gonna lie, Gavin. For me personally, right? I haven't had below a 50% win rate in a very long time. So for me, it's just looking at the strategies, right? Usually though, when I do have losing trades, it's not the strategy, it's me being human, right? It's me being impulsive. It's me, not following, these things that we're talking about. It's usually human error is the problem. Are you live trading today? Nope. Mastermind is goated. Thanks, Eddie. Yeah, Eddie, first week, he went 5 for 5. Good friend of mine joined the mastermind. It's crazy. It's like it works. Really, really weird. Do you mark your watch list levels and historical levels like previous day high low? Yeah, so those are the levels I will watch. Next mastermind is February. If you want to apply for the mastermind program, shoot us a DM on this page and just say interested, right? And we can get you all the info on that. Jeremy is Neo. He's seen the Matrix and can't unsee it. I wish. I wish I was Neo. I wish I could fly around. Wish I looked like Keanu Reeves. That'd be dope. Okay, guys. Well, I'm gonna hop into our group. I don't hold any swing trades. I hold no trades overnight. If you want to come trade with us, if you want to see my potential plays for today, again, sign up for one of our programs, join our Discord, join our community. If you want to apply for our upcoming mastermind, want more info on what it is, it's 5 weeks where I teach you how to become what I am, which is a professional day trader. We have a handful of members every single time we have these mastermind who are either quitting their jobs, trading full time, or who are starting to trade very consistently and having to work less at their normal job. Seems like you have a different percent stop loss depending on how close you are to expiration, how you judge that. This is all what we teach here at UET, guys. All these questions are things that we go in depth here at this program. How would you recommend me to practice trading when I work during the day? On-demand feature. You can trade at any time, 24/7, any previous day, as if the market was real. Again, hit us up on Instagram, shoot us a message interested if you want to learn more. But this was for information, right? This was to help you guys see what it actually takes to be a day trader. It should be very simple. If you're not doing what we just described in this video, there's a good chance that you are being inconsistent and you're not succeeding on a week-to-week basis. Where for me, I really don't care if losses happen because that's part of the game. And I know as long as I follow this, kind of framework, I'm going to have at least a 50% win rate, more than likely a lot higher, and I'm going to make money. Okay. So thanks for joining, guys. Been a lot of fun. Thanks for your questions. If you guys need anything else, again, shoot us a DM. Let us know that you're interested. We can send you more info. Otherwise, if you're in UET, I'm going to be sending out the potential plays here in a second. Let's have a fantastic trading day. So thanks, guys. Appreciate it. And have a great rest of your week. Thanks for joining, guys. Hopefully this free game was helpful for you. And hopefully you guys have an awesome Thanksgiving week coming up. So last thing, guys, is we do have a live session with Zoe this afternoon. Again, Zoe's a stay-at-home mom who went through our mastermind program. She doubled her $2,500 account last month. She's incredible. She's going to be able to answer any questions you guys have, kind of do a live Q&A with her. So again, that will be at 1 p.m. Mountain Standard Time today. Join us for that. Until then, have a great rest of your day. If you guys are trading, best of luck. Can't wait to see you guys in the Profits channel. Thanks, guys.